Hi there everyone, this is Kitch and welcome to my channel. And I guess more importantly, welcome to this new Planet Coaster project that is starting in this first video. This is a series, a Let's Build series that's going to be on my channel. Every single week we will see a new video posted. And I'm really excited to get this started. As you can see, we have opened up a brand new project, and for all those familiar with Planet Coaster, it does not look like this when you start a new park. Yes, I have gone through and done quite a bit of terraforming. I didn't think that would be worth making a video out of. So you can see we have sort of a coastline here. You can't do a true ocean in this game because you always have land on the borders, but we're gonna visualize this as an ocean. With a rugged coastline, we have a small island, maybe some like a beachfront area, and some high ground behind. And this is a park I have been planning for about a week now. I have a lot of sketches, concept images, ideas floating around in my head, and I'm really excited to start building and get this thing underway. So we have the time lapse here. Will be starting shortly. I just wanted to give a quick introduction to the park and to the entire series that we're starting here. This is going to be a water park, something that is probably unique. We haven't seen a whole lot of that in Planet Coaster. I'm really excited about this because I think I'm going to be venturing into some terrain that's going to be challenging for me and maybe new to the community. So we're going to be building a very realistic, detailed water park that is also very highly themed. Park name, as you might have saw in the title, is the Forgotten Coast. So it's going to be very adventurous. Different sub-themes will be incorporated in different areas of the park. And I guess I'm going to leave a lot of the content. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. I'm going to leave a lot of that for you guys to find out as you watch the videos. So that's all on my end for the intro. Without further ado, let's just jump right into the time lapse. So we're jumping right on in here. Look, as you can see, we're placing down slides immediately. And just a little bit of a background on this. These are actually some blueprints that came from a previous park I made called Frozen Coasters. You can check it out on my workshop, but I'm not going to get too in depth on that. And these are really just a few pieces just to get me started. I figured I want to build everything from scratch for the most part on this project, but I decided it just didn't make sense to go through and remake the exact same piece that I already had. So you'll see a few blueprints of my own in this park that we'll start off with, especially with the slides. But other than that, it's going to be entirely custom. We're going to try to make everything unique, everything fresh out of using the pieces in the game. We're going to have no theme maker toolkit in this park. We're going to have no blueprints from other creators, and we're going to really go for a lot of realism. This is going to be a heavy realistic park. Obviously a water park, but we are going to have some rides, some water rides, very themed. We're going to have, well, I won't spoil it all for you now, but we are going to have some other rides, so it will be a usable park by the guests. Now what you're seeing right now is we're starting on an area that for now I am calling Storm Rock, and kind of the idea of this park is we are sort of going for a coastline that has been ravaged by storms and various other natural disasters. It's pretty rugged, it's abandoned. We'll see maybe some remains of an ancient civilization, etc. I'm not going to spoil anything right now, but so this rock is really going to be sort of we're calling it Storm Rock, so it's going to be kind of rugged. As you can see, I'm using these black temple pieces, and I'm going to try to keep everything a surprise here, and you guys can see what comes out of this as I continue to build throughout the episodes. But I chose this piece for the actual rock itself because, as you can see, you can color it to be really dark, and most other pieces in the game don't have this super dark texture that the temple pieces can provide. So that's what I'm working on now. You can see we're working on the first slide complex of the park. And the whole idea of this rock area is it's this little island is it's going to be kind of the high thrill area where a lot of the speed slides are. We're going to have some mat racers, which will be coming in a future episode. And we want to do this because in a realistic water park, they always actually separate the high thrill rides from the kiddie area and relaxing rides, etc. So you're not going to see, and you can go to any water park that's, anything to be proud of, I suppose. And you can see for yourself, you'll see the high speed slides are always near each other, and then they'll put like the play structure, the spray pad, all the kids stuff kind of in a similar area. So they do that on purpose. It's a technique they use to keep the groups of people separate and appeal. Now you can see here I'm going a little overkill with the archers. The archers we use, they're a really good representation of scale, so I'm going to be using them all the time. They're kind of the OG piece in the game that's used to represent a guest. So I'm going to be using those, but obviously there's many other animatronic pieces you could use for that. What we're building right now is actually, this is one of those trapdoor slides. So if you've ever been on one, I highly recommend. They're extremely fun. You stand in that little capsule, and the floor just drops out from underneath you, and then you're on your way down the slide. So we've got one steep drop slide where we have one trapdoor slide, and then we're going to have a couple just normal body slides that work their way down the rock here. And so you can see I'm trying to line that one up. Those fireworks going off, that's the piece I used for the hand bar. It's a super small piece. You can see it there. And when you're moving the pieces around, the fireworks are going off. But once you place it, they go back to how they're set to stationary, so you don't see them. But it's kind of funny. So obviously I don't think I needed 5 archers there, but I'm trying to space out where I want the queue lines to go here to keep them separate. Like I said, we're gonna try to have as much realism in this park as we can. I'm a big fan of realistic builds. I think maintaining that suspense of disbelief in your park is really important. But obviously we're also not gonna build something boring, right? It's gonna be awesome. So with all that, moving into the trapdoor slide here just a little bit, we're trying to start on the slide, but we'll come back to that. Now, I will say this is my first time-lapse Let's Build ever, so it's going to be a learning process. I'm hoping to continue to improve, trying to make the video a little less crazy, a little smoother. It's difficult because when it's sped up 4 times, this is 4 times sped up. The camera, obviously, the more you move it, the crazier it becomes in the video. So, but at the same time, I'm trying not to sacrifice the quality of the build just to keep the camera still. So it's all about finding the balance there. So I'm hoping I can get better at that as we go. You're also going to see a lot of cuts in this episode, and the reason being because once I build a bit of one slide, you're not going to want to see me build every single piece of every slide, and I think you'll be glad that a lot of that footage is cut out, but you'll see as we get there. So right now I'm working on the stairway, the queue line, I suppose it would be called. It was really important that I started on this early. It's kind of it's easy to get caught up in what you're building, and suddenly you build this whole rock structure, and then you're like, oh crap, I don't have room for this. My slides have to get through here, and then you're trying to cut holes through the pieces that are so big that there isn't space to cut holes through them. So by trying to do all this at once, kind of building everything simultaneously, as you'll see here, I'm hoping that it can kind of all come together at the same time, but I suppose we'll see. So still some more work here on the trapdoor slide, and really this episode's going to be primarily these slide paths themselves. I'm trying to get those squared away before then in future episodes we'll move into more of the theming around it. We've seen some water parks in Planet Coaster before. I built a pretty detailed one myself in Frozen Coasters, but we've seen a lot of people do these, and I think maybe Silverette might have been, if you're familiar with that builder, great legend builder, he might have been one of the first ones to come up with the idea of using the basic art shapes to create the water slides, and he does have some modular pieces on his workshops too. I've got some modular pieces on my workshop, and when I first started these, I wanted them to look very realistic, so that's why what we got here is obviously the basic art shape for the body of the slide, and then we have these rectangles that we're just using on each side to represent where the two pieces of fiberglass come together and create that, they get connected on that center line. And then this is just a series of circular disc pieces rotated around to be slightly larger than the sphere. I think it's like 12 discs in there to make each one of these flanges. And then you can see I've used the coal pieces, which are one of the smallest pieces in the game, to create the bolts and to create the flange. And it becomes pretty heavy on the piece count. That is one of the downsides of the slides themselves, is when you have, each one of these slides ends up being about a couple thousand pieces. So, but I think it's worth it. I think I'm going to try to keep the piece count under control in this park for the most part. I'm going to try to, as I plan this out, I didn't create something. I'm trying to keep my scale in check here. So I didn't want to make a water and theme park and this and that and blow it out of proportion. So I'm hoping that the scale is small enough that the piece count can remain manageable, but we're gonna have to cross that bridge as we get there, because it's easy to get carried away in this game and we just don't know exactly what's gonna happen. And I like I said, I don't want to sacrifice the quality of the build to save on piece count, for example. So these slides, I've got the coal pieces in there. It adds that little touch of realism, and at the end of the day, whatever I feel like building, I suppose, is what's going to happen, right? And with this game, you always have to have fun with it and do whatever makes you happy, I suppose. So here we're starting the next slide, and you're going to see here at some point in the video, there's going to be a pretty big cut where an entire one of these body slides I make off camera. And the reason I do that is just because it's pretty much the same exact process repeated for another slide. So I didn't think it would be worth showing that in a 40-minute video. But see, right here we have the actual slide run out, a little blueprint that I've placed down, and now we're going to be working with here and lining all these up together. Now, the runouts are all going to be kind of lined up here on the left side of the island, and we're going to raise them up a little higher. I wanted to create a little bit of an elevation difference between you call it the main floor of the island and then where the slides themselves come down. I think elevation, for any new builders out there, if you're ever trying to make your park just pop and just look a little better, elevation is going to be one of the most valuable tools for you to think about including. A lot of new builders just kind of build everything on a flat surface. A lot of parks you see, first timers, first park to ever build, it's just kind of on a flat ground, and there's not a lot of variation there in heights, and the variation that's really goes a long way in just creating that undulation in your build style and architecture, etc. So we're going to raise these up a little bit just for the heck of it. A little backstory on me: I actually work as a mechanical designer at a water park design company. So water parks are kind of my thing. I'm not going to say that the whole inspiration for this park came from my job by any means, but I do have if you see me geeking out about some water slides or something related to water parks, that's probably why, because that's kind of what I do for a living. So the advantage, I suppose, is I look at a lot of drawings by actual slide manufacturers and companies, and so I'm pretty familiar with how these slides work. Not that a water slide is really that complicated. I think just about anyone could figure out how to make a realistic looking water slide in this game, but yeah, I think that's kind of a passion of mine, and that might be partly where the project, why I'm so into making a water park in a game that doesn't have actual water slides in it. And I hope you guys will enjoy the series. I'm gonna try to, there'll be a lot of content in here that's not just water slide related. We're gonna have a lot of buildings, a lot of themed restaurants, a lot of detailed interiors, a few dark rides. We're gonna have the whole mix. I can't promise any coasters, but I won't rule that out yet. I know that's, before everyone skewers me here and says, oh, where are the coasters? That's the only reason we play this game. Yeah, I get it. And we'll see. But it is, after all, it's a water park. So we're going for a realistic build here and a realistic water park and what you'd see in a water park. And we're going to try to stick true to that throughout the entire build. So I hope you guys stick around and watch it to the end. I know it's going to be awesome. I hope it's going to be worth it. I know it's going to be worth it for me. I'm really excited. This is my first Let's Build. So I've been playing this game for a long time, but I've never really sat down and done the work to put it all on footage to share with everyone else. So it's a new process for me. I'm going to be learning as I go, and I appreciate any feedback. Leave a comment on anything you think I could improve on, and I'll read all comments, take that to heart, and we'll go from there. So you can see this is the platform I'm starting on. You can see I raised it up a little bit there, and we're going to get more in depth in the theming of this in future episodes. But for now, with that rough cut, we are moving on to one of the body slides, and as you can see, I've cut out a lot of footage here, and I've sped this up actually to 8 times, so you can see as I'm copy and pasting a lot of these curved pieces. Occasionally I'll have to take a individual piece, and the way these were constructed is it's really just modular, so you have one piece that you're just duplicating, and with that gentle slope curving it each time, and then once you get a curve started, you can take a few pieces at once, duplicate those, copy those, paste those, and then it's just a lot of tweaking here and there to get the curve kind of look how you want. And then of course at the end of the slide, it's just craziness of trying to connect it to the start, right, and getting it to work out. And you'll see in a moment here, look at that kink. No one's surviving down that water slide. So we're trying to work out that kink in the slide right now, trying to make that a little smoother transition here, and then we'll be on our way to the next slide. Coming up here, there's going to be a big cut, and the whole gray slide is going to be built suddenly automatically, and you'll see that. So we're working on the trapdoor slide here. The gray slide is already built, actually, as you'll see. There it is on the right side of the screen. And this is one of those, in the water park industry, we call it an aqua loop or a flatline loop. It depends on the water slide manufacturer that you're using. Don't worry, I have not chosen a water slide manufacturer for this park. We're not that crazy. But it's one of those trapdoor slides that actually goes upward into a loop of sorts. They advertise it as you go like upside down, but I mean, you don't really go upside down. You just kind of fly up the loop and bottom out at the top and then slide down. So we are incorporating actually a second smaller loop. This has technically never been built before, but I thought through it and I decided, what the heck, it just looks better. It makes sense. You'd have plenty of speed coming off that first loop. It would function the same way as the first loop. And we're going to roll with it. I am going to need to provide another evacuation area between those two loops. They always have to have an evacuation section, because if you get stuck in the loop, you need to have a way of getting out, obviously. So, and honestly, with that, we are actually at the end of the time lapse here. And we're going to cut and fade into some cinematics here, and I thank everyone for joining me, and see you in the next one.